This is It Was a Thing on TV.
Spoiler number 1 is Dr. Lee Franz.
It stinks.
What is going on? What is going on?
Episode 35. Submission 914. The Mad Dash. The Mad Dash aired on CTV from 1978 to 1985. Exact number of episodes unknown.
In just a few moments, two lucky couples will start on the road to thousands of dollars in cash and prizes on The Mad Dash! And here's the star of The Mad Dash, the Alone!
Hi, how are you, folks?
So what do you get when you put the set of classic concentration smack dab in the middle of a board game? You get the Mad Dash. Oh yeah, and there's also a dice pit, because dice are involved, because it's a board game. Isn't that right, Greg?
Oh, yes. You can't have a board game without dice. That's what I would say.
What about the game of life?
Well, yeah, you have the spinner. Oh, yeah. You have the spinner.
Yeah, Candyland's got
but this-
questions too while we're at it. And sorry.
Sorry on line 1.
But I mean, come on, the spinner in life, that would always break on you.
By the way, future installment.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot there was a life game show.
But we're not talking about that. We're talking about this, hosted by basically one of Canada's great game show treasures. Unfortunately, no longer with us, a man by the name of Pierre Lalonde. We were introduced to this by way of Canada's game show, the search for Canada's game shows, which is just an incredible documentary that is being aired by Game TV. And if you're like us, living in stateside, you can catch it at canadasgameshows.com and on the YouTubes. So.
And also, our good friend Adam Neediff is interviewed in that series.
Yes, he is.
Yes, friend of the site or friend of the podcast.
So, the Mad Dash, then. You have two pairs of contestants ready to dash through an oversized game board. Now, you would think that this would be some really, really big game board. Not really. It's actually quite small. There's only, I'm going to do, not counting the start and win squares, which we will talk about momentarily, there's 20 spaces, not counting the start and win spaces. And each of the spaces has a chance to change the game radically. But we'll get to the board in a moment. Here's how the game works. You have two pairs of players. One member of each team is the designated roller who answered questions and remains with Pierre. The other is the dasher who becomes the life-size token on the game board. The board is a single winding path of 20 spots segmented into yellow, red, blue, and green spaces, which were marked to indicate the effect of landing on that space. The dashers begin at the start space, and the goal is to reach the win space. And of course, the first dasher to reach the win space wins everything they won during the dash. You're probably wondering, how are they going to move around the board?
How are they going to move around the board?
I'm glad you asked that. The roller has to win a multiple choice buzz-in jump-in question, and the first one to do so was given one roll of the die. The die had, it was your standard die from 1 to 5, but where the 6 is actually a dollar sign. The dollar sign adds $10 to the team's bank anytime it was rolled, and allowed for another roll. If you rolled the dollar sign 3 times in a row, it turns into a $50 bonus.
And I do believe that has happened on one of the episodes that's out there. There's not a lot of episodes, but I'm pretty sure that one of the episodes that exists did have somebody roll the dollar sign 3 times and get a total of $70.
Yes. Now, the object of the game, obviously, is to get to the win square. And if you get to the win square, you win everything you've won during the dash. If you won 7 matches in a row, you win the Lucky 7 jackpot, which is an accruing jackpot that includes $250 in cash and additional prizes with a total of 2,500 Canadian dollars. If you won 10 in a row later in the run, you retired as an undefeated champion. Now, this is a very wacky board, aside from being shaped like an oddly elongated question mark. The red spaces had a negative effect, like moving backwards, losing cash, losing prizes. The yellow spaces were everything else, directional spaces, whatever, what have you. Green spaces banked money, and blue spaces banked prizes. Now, if they land on a prize that they had already banked, they get an additional roll. Now, here are the spaces that are usually on the board in the Mad Dash. Roll forward. Roller rolls the dice for the dasher to move forward. Roll back. Roller rolls the dice for the dasher to move back. Roll over. The roller would roll the die for the opposing dasher to move forward. Change places. The 2 dashers would switch places. The dasher who moved from change places was deemed to have landed on their new space and would take its effect. The free roll, the team would get a free roll. Missed turn, the opposing team gets a free roll. Back to start. Duh. Insurance. A team would get an insurance policy which protected them from any danger of losing either money or prizes. Go broke. The team lost all their banked cash, but the prizes stayed in play. Now there are some episodes out there where if you had the insurance policy and you land on the space, you would put it down on the table and you would keep all the money. Return prizes. The team lost all their banked prizes but kept the money. Dash. A true or false question was asked to the dasher. The roller would roll the die with the dasher moving forward if they gave a correct answer, and backward if they did not. Breakaway. The roller would roll the die. The dasher would given that many seconds from 1 to 5 to run freely along the board toward the win space, stopping wherever they were when the time ran out. And of course, whatever you stop on, that effect takes place. Dice game. The player at the table would roll with 2 dice. If it resulted in $2 simples, the team would get $100 and another chance to roll. In addition, the player on the game board path moved the total number shown on the dice. Card game. The roller would draw from a standard deck of playing cards, and the dasher would move toward the number of spaces drawn, with ace being 1 unless a face card was drawn, in which case the roller had to roll the die, causing the dasher to move backwards. Happy birthday! The dasher would spin 2 wheels. One wheel had 5 money amounts ranging from $25 to $200 and an insurance policy. The other had all the months of the year. The team would win the money spun. If the second wheel stopped on the player's birth month, the money was doubled. If the first wheel landed on the insurance policy, they would receive a policy which could prevent them from losing cash or prizes later. Pot of gold. A series of prizes that were instantly won, not banked, win or lose, no matter the outcome of the game. After the space was landed on, it was replaced by another prize. Thin ice. A true or false question was asked to the dasher. If they gave a correct answer, they could take a prize from their opponent's bank. If they did not, the opposing team could take one of their banked prizes. If a correct answer was given, but the opponent had no prizes, the team was given the chance to move forward up to 5 squares, paying $10 a square. And then there's a mini game. Now, there were many mini games, the most popular including Shooting Star, Beanbag, and the Mad Darts, all of which had some effects on the game. Brains or Brawn. The dasher would choose to take either brains, a question, or brawn, a physical stunt. If they were successful, the roller would roll the die and the dasher would move forward. If they were unsuccessful, it meant the dasher had to go back. And interesting way to win the game. The only way you can win the game was to roll the exact number that you needed to win the game. It was sort of like Jumanji almost. In fact, this was probably the game show version of Jumanji.
I'm going to add one thing about the shooting star, which really made the game very important when it showed up on the show. One of the items on the shooting star, which all you had to do was there was a star, a wooden star, if you will, a giant wooden star, and there were Velcro spots on this star relating to different actions, activities, prizes, and the dasher got to throw up to 3 Velcro balls at this game board, and whatever prize they hit or whatever section they landed on, they got that prize or that penalty or that bonus. But the big bonus that showed up on the shooting star, which was highly coveted, is there's a space that is called the lose-loss. And what that means is that if a team has lost a game, that loss is removed, giving the team a further chance to stay on if they lose. Because in the Mad Dash, if you lost 2 games, you're retired. Mm-hmm. So this would be very crucial, especially if you saw this in an episode where, say, the champs had 6 wins, and if they win this game, they're going to get the prize jamboree or whatever. And if they had 1 loss, if they lose that game, they're gone. They wouldn't get the prizes. That lose-loss would be extremely significant. And every time I've seen the shooting star played, I think I've seen every team go for the lose-loss because it means that much, because that's like the ultimate insurance policy. Forget the insurance policy for not taking away the cash and prizes. This keeps you on the show.
Yep.
Yes.
Related to what Chico mentioned about having to win on an exact roll, if you roll too much, you go back the game on the game board, the number of spaces extra you would have gone, and usually that ends up in one of 2 things. One of the spaces is lose all your money. That's usually the space right immediately before the win. But also at the same time, the space immediately before lose all your money is usually big money, like $100 or $50, or I think I've even seen $150. So you can make a lot of money right there at the end, or lose a lot of money right there at the end, depending on your luck of the roll. But also, when we're talking about Canadian game shows, especially in this era, when we talk about prizes, we're not talking about fur coats and furniture sets and a kitchen of appliances. Oh, no. What we're talking about is a movie for 2. We're talking about dinner for 2 to your favorite restaurant, or to the original Spaghetti Warehouse, or a hotel for a night for 2, or smaller appliances, a typewriter. Not budget-breaking prizes at all. So the thing is, when you're talking about a team that may have been on for 6 or 7 matches, if they didn't win that bonus jackpot, they may have only accumulated at that point maybe $2,000 worth of prizes in cash, maybe even less than that. So by no means were people making a ton of money on this show. This isn't like the game shows in America where $5,000 or $10,000 every day would be a commonplace bonus amount. No. Very small bucks.
So Mike, you might want to say the budget on this show was cheap.
I'm going to steal a line from Chico. Greg, go to your room. Think about what you did and just how badly you did it. And then come back in about 20 minutes after you've done repenting.
Oh.
But if you watch an episode of this show, I mean, the Mad Dash, that title just does not do it proper justice. It is crazy. It is absolutely crazy. It is bonkers.
And also, it really is sort of on the cheap, not just because of the prizes, but again, it's basically the elongated question mark game board that Chico mentioned earlier, and you have the other contestants and Pierre Lalonde, the host, standing at basically a podium with two not very expensive buzzers on either side for the contestants, and it slants downward the dice pit. So it can't roll off the table, it'll roll down, and there's a nice view of the die once it gets into that dice pit. Not terribly extravagant, but also at the same time, it's really fun. I mean, it may be a little on the cheap,
Yes.
but this is really a fun game, and I think that's what really got Greg interested in this show.
Yeah, the cheapness of this show is what makes the charm of this show great.
It really does. And the thing is, I don't know if they interviewed the teams beforehand. Presumably they did, but all of the teams came from the studio audience. So they didn't necessarily go through the audition process. Oh, hey, we're choosing you. Come down to Montreal to tape these shows. No. All the pairs were taken directly from the audience, which is also a throwback to older days when
Nice.
when you'd get picked from the audience to be on a TV show. But also, there were times when the show didn't end promptly on time. So you had a mini dash every now and then. And what the mini dash was you had one or actually sometimes a couple of audience members called down. What they do is they play for a prize, and they choose one of 5 different envelopes. Each of the envelopes has 3 questions. You only need to get 2 of the 3 correct to win the prize. Also, on some of the episodes, there's an instant win and an instant loss in 2 of the 5 envelopes, which seems kind of mean. You get the instant loss. You just come down, hey, it's my time to be on CTV. I'm going to play for a toaster or a crock pot. Okay, I'll take this envelope. You open it up, instant loss. Bye. Have a nice day. That's
That's just.
But also,
Right.
it does actually go in well with the show because that's all based on luck. It's all how lucky are you with the dice? How lucky are you with getting in fast enough to answer the questions? So it's actually a fair trade-off, I think. It's an apt comparison or an apt audience game.
Yeah.
Yep.
What a show this was. Let me tell you, it was just... Oh, when I first saw this format, like on the Canada's Game Show's YouTube page, and I saw the pilot episode of the Mad Dash, I'm like, what a concept. A human board with dice and questions, and it's like classic concentration style with prizes and everything. Oh,
I just remember.
pure gold.
Yeah, all I could say is I remember back when it was called Video Village.
I was just going to say, there was a show back in the 50s and 60s called Video Village, which was essentially the same type of TV show, the oversized board game. But this would be like the perfect show for GSN, I think. It wouldn't be terribly high stakes. It would be reasonably easy to set up. I mean, you don't need really too much electronics unless they really wanted to go that route. The only thing is, it really hasn't been on television for a long time. Not just even talking about the Canadian version. There was another version, and I remember getting an email from Sidney Cohen, who created the show. He actually emailed me maybe about 20 years ago, and that was my initial introduction to the Mad Dash. And at the time, he had actually sold a version to Poland, which aired on Polish television from 1998 to 2000. So, again,
current,
you're
huh?
talking about 20 years ago at this point.
Yeah, that current, huh?
Well, like I said, it's been a long time. It's been 35 years since the Canadian version aired, and it's been 20 years since the Polish version aired. So, yeah, I don't want to necessarily say it's due for a reboot, but again, this is such a fun format. I could definitely see some network on the cheap really just taking a chance on this. Plus, also, again, talking with Mr. Cohen again 20 years ago or so, he really, well, obviously he wants to sell it because that would be more money for him, but he thinks it's just such a great format that everybody can enjoy. It's not terribly difficult. The questions aren't Jeopardy level by any means, so it's accessible to everybody in the family.
There you go.
Plus, also the music. The music on this show now, admittedly, 1978 to 85, you're getting older music, but really, it is some great music in my opinion. Great music, great cues, great sound effects.
Just really good stuff. And interesting thing that I found out, this actually aired. Now, this is a Canadian show. This is a Canadian show for a Canadian audience. It was taped in Montreal for CTV. And if you got CTV on the Border Blaster stations up north, you got the Mad Dash.
And you see, I am in the up north, or at least close enough to get television from Windsor and London, Ontario back in the day. And I don't remember this. I remember, I believe it's companion show, which would have been Guess What? I don't think that's an entry, but maybe that's worthy of being an entry. So yeah, I remember Guess What? I don't remember the Mad Dash, though. Maybe it was later in 85 or 86. I remember seeing it, but regardless, yeah, we could definitely access it back in the day from here. Now, unfortunately, Greg mentioned the pilot made it online recently. Unfortunately, due to erasing episodes, there's probably only maybe about a dozen episodes plus the pilot out there. So there's, again, not a big sample size to work with, but pretty much everything we talked about in terms of the different spaces and different actions and side games, those take part at least on one episode in the dozen or so existing episodes.
Well, the Mad Dash, it certainly was a wild show. You had a board game with people on it moving spaces. You had contestants rolling dice. You had simple, fun trivia questions. The Mad Dash definitely was a thing on TV.
It was a mad thing on TV.
It was a fun thing on TV. You know what else is fun? Going to our website, www.itwasathingontv.com. You know what else is fun? Liking and subscribing to us, and also rating and reviewing us. We like being rated and reviewed on Apple Podcasts and other fine podcasting platforms.
You know what's even more fun than that? Sharing.
Sharing is caring, as you say. And also, in addition, what else is fun? There's 34 prior episodes you can go listen. Actually, 35 if you include the pilot, the episode 0 that Greg and I did before Chico joined us.
Even more fun than that, our good friends at the Place to Be Nation Pop.
Yes.
Is that right, Greg?
Yes, every Wednesday, a trio of episodes from our back catalogs getting loaded up. And right now, we are up to, I believe, episode 20. Because it was this past week that just aired, that just came up, was First Night 2013, Super Jeopardy Monopoly, and the Millionaire Knockoff. So getting close to getting up to date.
Yeah, they're only about a month and a half away. Well, until next week, we'll have 2 new episodes. One is an episode that I know at least one person has mentioned, oh, I can't wait for this episode. You need to be doing an episode about this. Well, we're doing an episode about this next week. And then the other episode, the later episode that week, it's not about a TV show. It's let's say sort of like a concept. You know, we had the episode about the Tommy Westphal universe. It's not in that vein, but it's related to TV. And I know Greg's got some stuff he needs to get off his chest about that topic. He's got. Oh, you've got stuff to say about everything.
I got 5 words for you. Real men don't need instructions.
There's a big hint for our second episode. And our first episode, well, I can't think of a big hint for the first episode except maybe go watch Grease or something.
Oh no, the hint for that episode is it's bad. People have been asking, when are you going to cover this show? Even one person has said, can I be a guest on that show? And with reluctance, I had to say no. But yeah, so there's 2 great episodes next week. Oh, the second one is going to be real fun, I think. It'll be a very fun, interesting episode. That's coming up next week, starting March 2nd. Until then, again, thank you for listening. Keep on liking, subscribing, rating, reviewing, doing all the good stuff for us. We thank you for your support, and we will talk to you next time with yet another thing on TV. Bye-bye.
Row! The Mad.
Yeah!